Joshua. We return to you with a related development where after Ukraine reported that Russia fired more than 620 drones and long-range missiles overnight, 4 people have reportedly been killed in the attack. Ukraine is now calling for fresh sanctions on Moscow to halt its record barrages. Kiev and Moscow have stepped up aerial strikes over recent months, and US-led ceasefire talks aimed at pausing the over 3-year war have now stalled. We're once again joined by Joshua Barnes to discuss this development further. Joshua, a significant aerial attack overnight. What are your thoughts on the current status of the battlefield with obvious diplomatic ongoings in the background?
Well, yes, absolutely, Thomas. We spoke earlier, of course, in the programme, and I mentioned that death toll could rise. It's gone from 2 now to 4, and a potential for that to rise further. This in the midst of support from Western allies and also US involvement in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, which we've seen over recent months ebb and flow. We've had rhetoric from Donald Trump and his administration, which has been somewhat positive towards Vladimir Putin, and then we've seen a shift back as well. Of course, the US relations with Volodymyr Zelensky itself have been up and down. That blow up in the White House earlier this year when Volodymyr Zelensky was confronted by Donald Trump over the amount of aid that the US has sent to Ukraine. Let's fast forward to this last week, and I think the US rhetoric has shifted. They understand that there is an increasing number of strikes, like this second largest strike that we've seen overnight targeting Western Ukraine and other regions around that area of the country. I think Donald Trump acknowledges that Ukraine are ready to finish this war. Of course, a 30-day ceasefire proposal from the United States was supported by Ukraine and Western European countries. Russia said no. We've also had direct discussions between Russia and Ukraine, but these have not led to anything more than prisoner exchanges. I think Donald Trump is losing patience. I think he, as he admitted at the start of his second term, said he wanted this war to be done in days. It potentially is a failure for him that he hasn't been able to do so. We've also heard from the US administration that they're frustrated with Putin saying one thing and then his actions being different, talking about the possibility of peace, but then continuing a ground and air offensive on the battlefields and, of course, across the rest of Ukraine. Aid is a vital part of this conversation. US Patriot-made missile systems are vital for Ukraine to limit the damage caused by this extreme strike that we've seen overnight and in previous days. Diplomatic talks are ongoing. US support will be vital for Ukraine if this war extends months, maybe years, because the Russian might is clearly vastly above Ukraine. Support from Western Europe as well is key, and it's something we will continue to look at here on NewsX World.
Joshua, thank you very much once again.